Hey everybody, welcome to Inner Solutions. This is Ennis.
What's up? It's Jim.
And today we're coming at you with a video on existential crisis. This is super timely. There's so many people that are off of work. They're at home for an extended period of time. Or maybe you just got out of your job. Maybe you retired. Maybe you are entering a new phase of life. Whatever it is, there's this experience of an existential crisis that tends to come up for people whenever they are either going through a big transition in their life, or there's been some kind of crisis that has prompted big change, or they're just bored and they have a lot of time on their hands for the first time in a while and they don't know what to do with all this time. But basically, this feeling of existential crisis, it's not quite anxiety, it's not quite depression, it's almost like this third weird thing where you feel like something's missing, a little on edge, things are a little unfamiliar, there's this kind of nagging feeling of dread maybe. It's a really bizarre experience. For anyone going through it, I just, right off the bat, want you to know you're going through it, okay? This is not the end of the road. You will come out of this stronger, better than ever. Really, I mean that. Because what an existential crisis is the hallmark of change. That's what I've always seen it as. It's something to let you know that there's a lot of change happening. And so I'm curious, for anyone out there who's currently going through this, do you have any perspective or advice on that?
Well, as far as an existential crisis, there's a few different dynamics that can be going on. Number one is that you're in a pivot point and you may be a little directionless, or you may be at a point where there's a chapter ending, and so like you said, you're ready to evolve into something else, and there's just a lot of unknown and there's not a lot of parameters. So let's say somebody who's 26, just got out of grad school, or maybe just pivoting out of kind of working these one after the other jobs and wants to make some form of career or something. A lot of what happens during an existential crisis is you're kind of too zoomed out to the experience that you're having. So there's like a ball of chaos in your life maybe that you don't know how to kind of just chop it down into sections and compartmentalize, as well as just start to set small intentions. Or you may be in kind of an exploratory phase where you need to get more information, experience new things, and you don't have the nice, comfy, cozy stability of a bubble that's formed. And this happens all the time with clients. I'm sure it happens with you all the time, where they just feel kind of lost, or maybe they're still in and ready to evolve to the next step, and they're just feeling this weird combination of fear, anxiety, with also like being frozen with a little bit of depression. So I really like how you said, it's kind of these, it's not quite this, it's not quite this, it's not quite this, but it might be kind of all of them wrapped up into one, into feedback loop.
I think it's no coincidence that many of our clients have this, because when you are at that point in your life when you're going to go see a therapist or a coach or somebody, that usually is catalyzed by some big challenge or change, and you're looking for guidance, you're looking for a solution, you're wanting to make a situation better. And underlying that is often this feeling of, wow, so much is changing. My views are changing. My options are changing. There's a lot of unknowns. And there's like an excitement in that, but there's also a sort of like looking at the, how do I put it? You're basically looking down into a deep, dark abyss, and who knows what's down there. Mm-hmm. And when I say deep, dark abyss, that might conjure up a negative imagery of like, something bad and mysterious, but it just means the unknown. The unknown is 5 minutes from now. 5 minutes from now is the unknown. We don't know what happens.
And this can really manifest in people who have been doing the same thing for a long time, or are really seeking that like security blanket and need that security, because it's the same reason we're scared of the dark, because we don't know what can be there. And really stepping out of your comfort zone and moving into the unknown, or being willing to move into less stable or less kind of assured pieces of your life, whether it's professionally, financially, romantically, whatever. It can be really scary, and it's also a practice, meaning the more you do it, the more kind of faith and trust you have in yourself. And so the people who can kind of evolve and ping pong and go through their phases, or who are kind of assertive about seeking out new opportunities and things, they've been practicing that for a lot. And there's a lot of different factors that go into that kind of insecure exploration, that insecurity about the exploration. Things like attachment disorders, things like anxiety, depression, not being able to be grouped, not being able to be resilient, self-doubt, self-criticism. All that stuff can play a big part in these existential crises.
Okay, so at this point we've kind of talked about what an existential crisis can feel like, why you may be having one, what kind of, life situations may be catalyzing that. At this point, I want to shift to really what are some perspectives that can help navigate this period of time, because I see so many people that they start to feel that way. They're making positive change in their life.
Yeah.
Things are going in the right direction, and then they feel this sort of unsettled, that unsettled, things are like up in the air feeling, and they backtrack because they think, oh no, I'm going in the wrong direction. But that's just what change can feel like. So, that's number one, right? How do you help someone trust that, hey, this is going to be okay, you're going to be fine, and that what you're feeling is just a sign of change?
I think you have to differentiate the type of anxieties you might be having, meaning like if you're going through an evolution period and you just don't have enough money to pay your bills and stuff, you have to address it. Like you got to kind of put out, and this is what happens with a lot of clients, is they just have all these fires they're constantly putting out. So they're in that state of reactivity instead of a state of like assertive kind of intention setting as far as like, constructing their reality and being able to move. So they're kind of reacting to all these things that are being neglected. So in my opinion, it's like you need a plan to just try right now to make sure you have your basics covered, right? And then you work from the inside to the outside, meaning like, make sure you have food, make sure you have a place to live, make sure your bills are covered, because you're not going to be firing on all cylinders if you're just having these immediate anxieties and there's bill collectors banging on your door and everything. Beyond that, it becomes a practice of allowing yourself to be in an exploratory phase if you don't know what the next kind of pivot moment is for you. So that means go out, go try new things, go meet new people, go to meetups, go to, online events, go to take a class, like figure out new things. A useful exercise that it's kind of just a nuts and bolts exercise is just write down what you do know about what you like or what you want to be spending your time doing. Write down what you know. So like, even if it's a professional thing, write down what are some key components you're looking for in a job. Do you want a certain schedule? Do you want a certain work environment? Is there a certain amount of money you want to make? Is there a certain amount of commute you want? Anything that's important to you. And just try to refine it as much as possible and be specific. And then you start as specific as possible. And you can do that for anything. You do that for romantic relationships. You can do that for your life, like your living situation. Like, what do you want your day-to-day to be? Construct it. Then you can figure out, well, how do I start moving in that direction? And this all comes with the caveat of, like, things aren't just going to change like that. And so you're looking at what are steps to get closer. One step today, one step the next day, making phone calls, sending emails. Get very, very assertive about making this future possible. Anything to add?
I would add that oftentimes when people are going through a transition, the body is using that as an opportunity to process what was just left behind.
Yeah.
And there can be kind of like a dying of sorts. So you're grieving 100%. What you just left behind. So
absolutely.
When people are moving through that, there can be a lot of fear, uncertainty, all the emotions that are associated with grief can come up. And it's really important to just process them. Like as you're moving into that new situation and those emotions are coming up to be processed, sit with them. This is something we say in every other video, process your emotions, which means don't resist them or distract yourselves from, like, let's say you're sitting on the couch and all of a sudden, for no reason, you start to feel some weird sensations come up. You might feel that empty feeling, that unresolved, unsettled feeling. And what do you do there? do you distract yourself with some TV? Do you call a friend? Do you eat a bunch of food or do some drugs? Like, do you distract yourself, or do you get all angry? Do you yell and scream and throw a fit and, you know, express all that emotion? Or do you suppress it? Do you kind of grit your teeth and, you know, have a stiff upper lip and just push all that stuff down? Or do you process it? And that's what we recommend, obviously, is when those emotions come up, don't distract yourself. Don't throw it on other people. Don't suppress it, but let it come up. Feel it. Just feel it moving out, up and out and through your body. Let it go through you, because that's what it's trying to do. It's trying to leave.
It's almost like a detoxification, or
Yeah.
it might need to be a grieving of the process. And I think beyond just the sensations is make sure you try to be just present with them, and make sure you're practicing like staying grounded but still feeling it at the same time. Because a lot of people will be met with really heavy or really overwhelming emotions, and it's like you don't have to absorb the thoughts you're having. You don't have to absorb them as true. Meaning, like, you've probably got parts of you that are very scared or very, very worried. That doesn't mean what the thoughts are pumping into you, like, you know, oh my God, we're never going to eat again, or this is really scary, I don't know what to do. You don't have to take those to heart and absorb them. What you want to do is stay grounded with them and just think of it like you're trying to help a friend or help a part of you that's just very, very scared. And help it, really help it. What Ennis is saying is don't avoid it. Just like you wouldn't avoid a friend or a child who's very scared next to you and won't help them feel better. This is kind of like a part of you that you're stuck with. So you have to process it. You have to be willing to invite it in. And more importantly, you have to be able to coach it, help it, and really listen to it and connect with it.
That's awesome, man. So just to summarize, existential crisis can happen during a point of change, a point of having a lot of time on your hands. For anyone out there who's, you know, going through a big transition, or maybe you haven't been working for a while, these are natural experiences. A lot of big questions might be coming up. You know, what does my life mean? What do I do? Who am I? These kinds of things are natural to ask. And with that will come experiences of this unsettled feeling, maybe a dying of the old. And as that comes up, process it as much as you can. And if you feel like you need the support of a professional, get that, because as Jim mentioned, some of these emotions can be quite intense. So it's nothing to mess around with. You know, take it seriously and allow it to come up. But if it's too much for you, then be smart. Use your common sense and take a break. Come back to it later, or get the support from somebody. But basically understand that this is just a natural experience that wants to get processed and go through you. It doesn't have to be a sign that anything is wrong or that you're messing up in some way.
Absolutely. And don't necessarily be afraid of change, because in the same way that you might be scared a change will be worse or that a change won't work for you, the change can be completely life-changing for the positive. And part of people who go through existential crises, maybe you're in a situation that needs to change and you're trying to hang on to it, and that's natural for our life. So coach yourself with opening up your heart and your mind to the possibility of an amazing change, and get really assertive about moving forward and seeking out that life that you want to construct for yourself, because you can do it.
Thanks so much for watching. This has been another Inner Solutions video. Make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell. We try to make content that actually improves the quality of your life, and we try to post every week, so make sure to catch that. Until next time, my friend, be well.
And guys, remember, no matter where you are in life, no matter how long you've been suffering or how intense it is, you're never stuck. You might just need some support. Have a good one.